You're listening to Three Things to Know with Stephanie Haney, with experts and insiders on what you need to know in Northeast Ohio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Three Things to Know podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Haney, and as of today, we are in it. We are in the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, and I couldn't be more excited. Last week, we had an incredible guest. We had very recent Olympic gold medalist Katie Najat. Today, we have another Olympic gold medalist to talk to. We are talking to Carol Heiss Jenkins, who won the gold in 1960 in Squaw Valley, California, in U.S. women's figure skating. Incredible. Cannot wait to talk to her. Before we bring Carol in, though, I want to talk about some stats because the Olympics are a big production, to say the least. You know, the estimated budget for the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics is $3.9 billion. That's with a B. That's according to Wallet Hub, which released its 2022 Winter Olympics by the numbers report just last week. And if you want to talk about ad revenue, you know, we talk a lot this time of year about the Super Bowl ads. Well, ad revenue generated by the 2022 Winter Olympics, $600 million. That's less, actually, than the 2018 Winter Games. Now, when you're thinking about this number, remember, we're thinking about a period this year of February 4th through February 20th. When we look at the Super Bowl, just for comparison, last year when CBS had the Super Bowl, they generated a record $545 million in advertising spending during Super Bowl Sunday alone. That's a couple hours. That's not even a day. It's a couple hours. Of course, this year, what's interesting is we have commercials for the commercials. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting note to point out as we look ahead to the Super Bowl, which is also on NBC next weekend. But a couple more stats for you, some fast facts. It's been 14 years since China last hosted the Olympic Games. Beijing is actually the first city to host both the Summer and the Winter Olympic Games. We talked about this before. They're actually reusing some of those Summer Olympics facilities, which is a good thing to hear. It's good that they're able to reuse those just a little bit. Now, when we're taking a look at Team USA, there are 233 athletes on Team USA. That's a record for any country in the Winter Olympics, and that's not even including a U.S. hockey team, because this is the second time in a row that hockey players in the NHL won't be given a break to play in the Winter Olympics. So not fielding a team, they're making up some of those games that had to be canceled or postponed because of COVID, which, you know, definitely a case to be made for that. Does make a lot of sense. I guess the NHL is a business and they want to get those games in. Now, to our guest today, we are bringing in Olympic great gold medalist Carol Heiss Jenkins. You know, figure skating is really a top-tier sport in the Olympics. A lot of people compare it to gymnastics in the Summer Games, which is just a huge draw. And Carol Heiss Jenkins lives right here in her own backyard. As I said, she won gold at the 1960 Olympics in Squaw Valley, California. She won the silver medal at the 1956 Olympics. She is a 5-time world champion, and she is partnered up with Heiss Jenkins, who is a 1956 Olympic gold medalist in his own right, also multiple-time world champion. And she is still very much involved in the figure skating world all of these years later. And so we are going to talk to her. Very excited to talk to her. We're going to talk to her about her experience in the Olympics, what she did when she wasn't doing figure skating. You know, she took a little bit of time off between winning her major events and then coming back as a coach, which she did for a long time right here in Northeast Ohio, coaching all different kinds of people. We'll hear some stories from her about that and what she thinks about Team USA's figure skating team and their chances. You know, there's a total of 16 people on the Team USA figure skating team. There are 3 men's individual competitors, 3 women's individual competitors, and then there are 5 teams of mixed pairs, male and female, competing for Team USA. It's all coming up. Super excited about it. After we talk with Carol, we'll talk about how you can make sure you catch all of those competitions this year, and of course, what you need to know in NEO, and also a good follow. So stick around for that. But right now, let's bring Carol in to get us in the know on her time in greatness as a U.S. figure skater. Let's bring her in right now. Carol, thank you for joining me on the 3 Things to Know podcast.
Oh, thank you. This is wonderful.
It's so exciting to be talking to such an Olympic great right here in Northeast Ohio. You know, we've got the 2022 Winter Olympics going on, a lot of excitement for all of those people. You were 20 years old when you won gold at the Olympics. So I have to ask, you know, looking forward to now, what do you do after winning gold? That's a big lifetime achievement.
Well, my coach always told me that the Olympic gold medal will open the door, but then you have to walk through it. And life goes on, and you have to make a good life for yourself.
Well, you certainly have done that. We're going to talk a lot about what you've done in those moments. But first, I want to talk about a big moment for you as an athlete. You were the first woman to land the double axel. Talk to me about what that was like.
Well, I knew that I had to have a clean double axel to win the world championships and to win the Olympics, because my competition all had just a little cheat, what we call a little cheat on the end, a little 3-turn. And I thought if I could get something that no other girl has, then that would at least put me in good stead to win. And of course, that's what happened.
Yes, it is. That is what happened. You brought home the gold. Before that, you brought home the silver. I have to ask for you, watching the Olympics, what is that like for you watching the competitions today?
Oh, it's wonderful. We can't wait until it starts this week. I mean, it's going to be awesome as far as the skating is concerned. It's changed so much since I competed. Now the girls have to do triple axels in order to be up there on the podium. And the boys are all doing quadruple jumps. And it's just so exciting to see how the sport has advanced on all these years.
Particularly, you know, you're talking about the different moves that people are doing now. Any other way that you've noticed the sport has changed from then to now?
Well, the scoring system. Ours was, you know, at first it was 10 was perfect. Then it came down to 6 was perfect. So if you get a 5, 9, and a 6, you know, that was awesome. But now it's a whole new scoring system. It's all about the point system. Each judge goes ahead and gives the points for the jumps and the choreography. And so, you know, it's very cut and dry as far as the jumps are concerned. For example, a quad is worth so-and-so, the triple axel is worth so-and-so. Then from there, they can deduct or do plus marks, how good the jump has been executed. The choreograph step sequence I love the most, because that's when the kids can skate to their music and do what they want to do. But the step sequence is also a level 4, which is the highest you can get. And you have to do certain things. So you hope that it all fits the music. So it's not as much free will in the free skating as it was when I was skating.
Sounds very elaborate, very intricate. Obviously, this is an elite sport. So I'm going to ask you for a moment to put yourself in the mindset of the people in Beijing right now. Having been there a couple times, what do you think those athletes are feeling right now?
Anxious, probably a little nervous, hoping that they do their very best. And I think one thing that we didn't have to deal with is hoping that they don't test positive for COVID, because this is a big thing. This is what happened at our national championships. You know, we had Alyssa Liu that did the short program and was hoping to win national senior ladies and ended up testing positive for COVID, along with Alexa Canarum and Brandon Fraser. Brandon came down with a positive test. So I think right now that's probably on their mind, and staying healthy, probably quarantining themselves and trying to stay in shape. See, that's the hard thing, you know, trying to stay in your bubble and then keep it shape and keep mentally tough. I mean, Olympics, for those who are expecting to medal, is full of anxiety, full of pressure. And you just have to keep yourself on that track, saying, all right, I'm in my bubble. I've practiced hard. I've worked hard all these years. Just keep yourself, well, pretty much on the straight and narrow.
Staying healthy does have a whole different meaning these days. It certainly does. A lot to think about there. We do certainly hope that the whole team stays healthy, especially, you know, we're talking about the figure skating team right now. Taking a look at Team USA's figure skating thing, how do you feel the team stacks up for Beijing in 2022?
Well, we're hoping that Nathan Chen, our men's champion, will win the gold medal. I don't want to put a hex on him or, anything like that. I am a little superstitious, so I don't want to do him in any way, but he is just an awesome skater. I think he comes from another planet. The things he does is just unbelievable. And he looks so good when he skates. He's got such wonderful choreography and everything looks so easy along with all the quads that he does. So we're hoping, we're keeping our fingers crossed. And then of course we've got Vincent Cho, who's also in the men's event, who has a good chance of getting a medal. And our girls, well, they've got the Russians, Alyssa Liu, Mariah Bell, and Karen Chen. They've got their work cut out for them because the Russians women are just unbelievable. They are doing quads and none of our girls are doing quadruple jumps. And we've got a couple of Japanese that are excellent. So the girls will just see. It all depends on how they perform that particular time. They have 4 minutes and 10 seconds to do their long program. And you can do perfect programs in practice. That helps, but you never know what's going to happen at that particular time at an Olympic Games. Olympics is just so different. It's a very, very special competition. And partly because if you want to stay in, you have to wait 4 years. It isn't like our world championships or national championships where every year, you can wait 11 months, and then another world championship comes around, another national championship. But to wait 4 years, that's a long time.
That is a very long time. You talk about having 4 minutes and 10 seconds. That's a minute a year that you can maybe perfect and hone that in if you're breaking it down. Oh my goodness. So we're very excited. We'll be cheering on Team USA. Do you have a favorite on the squad, or anybody that's particularly catching your eye that you're paying attention to a little extra?
I think more than anything is Nathan, because he's expected to win. When I won the silver medal in 56, it was, I wouldn't say it was easy, but I had no expectations. It was my first Olympics. I had my 16th birthday there. And you just go out and you compete. Of course, you're a little anxious. But then you train for 4 years and wait for that second Olympics to come around. And Nathan's in that position where everybody expects you to win the gold. You have a wonderful opportunity to win the gold medal. And that puts the extra pressure on the athlete. And I'm sure the skiers will tell you that, the ski jumpers, the hockey players, the team. Of course, this team sport is a little bit different. This is single and it's up to you.
Well, speaking of it being up to you, you definitely had a lot of success. Your biography on Olympics.com says you have the best competitive record in international competition for any American woman. Congratulations on that. Quite an accomplishment. And in such a whirlwind, you just mentioned you had your 16th birthday at your first Olympics. You won gold at the age of 20. Life comes at you fast, and you definitely took it by the reins. I'm just curious, where do you keep your Olympic medals and your hardware?
Oh, this is terrible. We have them in a drawer, and the other medals are in a box. When we won, it wasn't on TV in 56. You had to go to the movie theater to see the Olympics. But in 60, because it was in Squaw Valley, California, CBS had it. And every night it was Walter Cronkite and Bud Palmer that would talk about the Olympics. And after the second night of the Olympics, everybody wanted more. So it just became an hour show rather than half an hour, then an hour and a half. So I was fortunate because around the world, they were able to see the Olympics, and that helped as far as the publicity was concerned. So, it's a different story now. It's become so big, so very expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and the networks have made a big deal of it, whoever has it, and as they should.
And it is NBC this year, so you can catch it all right here on Channel 3, which we love. Absolutely, we're tracking it all. Now, I have to ask, out of all of your big moments in the sport of figure skating, is there one or any particular that stick out to you as the biggest?
Probably the Olympic gold medal. because that was the goal from the time I was 10 years old. I was hoping to be Olympic champion. The only other one would be the World Championship in 1956 in Garmisch, Germany. My mother died just about 8.5 months later from cancer. So it was the only world championship she got to see me win.
What a special
So that's
memory.
very special.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I know that you're just back from a skiing trip, still active in those winter sports. We had talked about that earlier. You're actually married to 1956 gold medalist Heiss Jenkins. So I know you guys were just skiing, but when's the last time that you two were on ice together?
You know, I was thinking I probably in the maybe mid-'80s. When we went out and did a short performance. We never really skated much together. I mean, we were both individual skaters, but that was the last time. And I think it was in Madison Square Garden. It was for some function, probably raising money for the Olympic Games.
At Madison Square Garden. Casual, New York City.
Well, you remember I'm from New York City. So I used to train at Rockefeller Center early in the morning. The mayor of New York gave me permission to get there at about 6 in the morning so I could get used to skating outdoors, because I skated on the 4th floor of the old Madison Square Garden in New York City. And it was so nice and warm and the ice was pristine. You know, outdoor skating is a little bit different.
Oh man, there is something about New York City. I lived in New York for a little bit. Definitely something about New York City in the winter, but it does bring us back. It brings us back here to Northeast Ohio, and we're so happy that you're here. Now, I know you said you two, both of you gold medaled in the individual figure skating. Did you ever think about trying to make a go of it as a pair?
No, never. Heiss won the 56 Olympics and was 4-time world champion. And then he retired. I have to brag because he went on to Harvard Law School. So with all the years of training and then being able to get into Harvard Law School, but there was an advantage. I was in New York City and he was in Boston, and we just started seeing each other. And so we kept the airlines busy between Boston and New York.
Oh man. And then brought it back here to Northeast Ohio. I know he's from Akron. Is that right?
Yes, he is.
Here?
And we were married in New York City, and then we moved to Akron because he had a job as a lawyer with a law firm. And we moved to Westlake in Cleveland just about 22 years ago because he retired and I was still working at coaching at Winterhurst figure skating rink. And it was a long trip. So, it used to be 45 minutes, and then all the bedroom communities grew up and began to be an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. So Heiss said, well, you know what? We should really move closer to the rink. And also we have a daughter who lives in Rocky River.
Okay. All right. Now, when you talk about your coaching, you took a little bit of time off, about 18 years, I think, off between your winnings and then getting back into coaching. What'd you do in that 18-year span?
Oh, well, I had a choice after the Olympics. We were married 6 weeks after the World Championships. We were married April 30th, 1960. And then I knew I'd have to turn professional because my dad had spent a lot of money on skating and his bank account was a little bit low. And I had a younger brother and sister who were getting ready to go to college. And I told him I would be willing to help. So I turned professional. But I had a choice to join Ice Capades, Ice Follies, or make a movie. So I ended up making a movie for 20th Century Fox. And it was a comedy, it was a fairy tale called Snow White and the Three Stooges. So that's what I did the first year and a half. And then I did commentary for all 3 networks and was spokeswoman for several companies. So I could stay home because we ended up having our first child 2 years after we were married.
Busy, busy, busy. And then you turned back to coaching. Now, are you doing any coaching now at this time?
No, I just retired just about a year ago, and partly from COVID, because at my age, I'm 82, I thought I really don't want to come down with COVID, and this was before the vaccine, and you have to be close to the kids, and you're indoors. So it was the perfect time because they were doing all the competitions. Things were on Zoom, things were on video. A lot of the competitions were canceled. People were nervous, and I thought, well, this is an omen. It's time for me to retire. But I go back, once in a while. There's a function, or my coaching partner, Roberta Mitchell, will call me in and say, I need you to come in because I need to take a couple of days off.
Well, there you go. And you have certainly earned the time off. You've had such an illustrious career. Wonderful that you're still staying involved. I want to ask, from your time coaching, is there any particular student that sticks out to you? You know, who were you coaching? Were you coaching the neighborhood kids, Olympic hopefuls? What was that like?
All of them. Most of the competitive skaters I taught came from Connecticut, some from Colorado, some from New York, New Jersey. They came in to train with me, which was a wonderful compliment. And then I had kids that came from Learn to Skate at Winterhurst or Rocky River and brought them up. And one was Tanya Kwiatkowski, who I taught all the years, like, you know, I think it was 13 years that I had her, and she made the world team. She was 6th in the world. She came from Broadview Heights, and she's still coaching at Winterhurst. So there were some kids from, you know, around here that I brought up, which was a lot of fun. But most of the time, the competitive skaters would come from someplace else and come in to really train here, and just extremely serious about it.
Sure. Well, it's so incredible to have access, you know, to your wealth of experience. Obviously, your incredible talent here in Northeast Ohio. You know, as we look to the 2022 Winter Olympics, these people are just starting their journey again, many of them so young. And it's wonderful to get the perspective from someone who has been there, done that, and to see the road potentially ahead for them. So, Carol, I just want to thank you so much for your time here on the 3 Things to Know podcast. We really appreciate your insight.
Oh, thank you very much. And I so enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much, Carol. Oh, man. Carol is she is lovely, right? You know I'm right. She's absolutely incredible. You know, I was chatting with her last week about setting up this interview, and I called her while she was about to hit the slopes in New York, not far from here, with her hubby. She got right back to me, and we set this thing up, and so glad that we got to talk with her today. Such incredible insight, such incredible experience. I can't even imagine not peaking, but just reaching the ultimate crescendo of your career at the age of 20. And that's something, you know, we talked about with Katie Najat a bit last week about what do you do? What do you do after you reach that crescendo? Well, if you're following the Carol Heiss Jenkins program, you do pretty much everything. Casual movie, casual, incredible coaching career. Just absolutely amazing. And that brings us to what we need to know in NEO, because like I said, we are following along people who are just starting off in their own right on potentially a similar path. Who knows? Everyone has their own path, right? But we need to tell you how you can watch figure skating at the 2022 Winter Olympics. That's right here on NBC Channel 3. Now remember, Beijing is 13 hours ahead. So when it's 7 p.m. here, it's 8 a.m. tomorrow there. They are coming to us from the future, if you will. So here are important days and times that you need to know. These are all Eastern time, by the way. So this is when to watch in real time here in Northeast Ohio. The men's competition with the ice short program heats up on Monday, February 7th. That is at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. If you want to catch the women's short program, you will have to get up very early on Tuesday, February 15th. That's at 5 a.m. if you want to watch that live. Now, the ice dance competition starts with rhythm dance on February 12th at 6 a.m. Eastern, also very early, and another early start for the pairs short program. That's Friday, February 18th at 5:30 a.m. Eastern. So that's taking us really kind of right up to the end of the Olympics, wrapping up, you know, officially on February 20th. So I'll have a link as well to a link from NBCOlympics.com so that you can see all of that information if it's easier for you to process it that way, so you do not miss any of the incredible Team USA Olympic figure skating. And that brings me to a good follow for this week, because if you want to know what's going on with all of Team USA figure skating, there's one account to follow, and it will shoot you out to everyone else and all of those competitors that you want to check out, because Team USA Figure Skating, they are really on it on their social media platforms, you guys. They're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and the handle on all of those platforms, say it with me now, I love it when the handle is the same on all of the platforms. It's US Figure Skating. So Twitter, US Figure Skating, Facebook.com/US Figure Skating, Instagram, US Figure Skating, and on YouTube, it's youtube.com/US Figure Skating. And I double checked on the Instagram account for US Figure Skating. they tag the competitors. So very easy place to go. Instagram is such a visual medium. That's why I love it. It's a toss-up between Twitter and Instagram for my probably favorite social media platforms. I would say Twitter is my favorite. Instagram might be my more engaged, maybe a little bit more active social media platform. A little bit of a toss-up there, but what I do love about the US Figure Skating Instagram account is that they do link you to the other athletes. So as they're posting photos of athletes, they're tagged so you can go to their accounts. And with 16 people on Team USA Figure Skating, it's just a great place to go so that you can see what's up with everybody who's in Beijing trying to bring home some hardware, trying to bring home a medal of some kind. So check that out. US Figure Skating is definitely a good follow on all social media platforms. I just happen to really prefer Instagram, particularly right now for the visual aspect of it. We're really getting some fun behind the scenes stuff from those athletes in Beijing. Congratulations and good luck to all of the competitors, all of Team USA with that big team making a record with the number of people on Team USA at the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. 233 athletes on the team. Just wanted to check my notes, make sure I got that number right. A record for any country in the Winter Olympics. Let's bring home some medals. Let's go Team USA. All right, that's it for the 3 Things to Know podcast this week. I will see you back here next week. Next week, we are talking with a person about the NBA All-Star Weekend here coming to Cleveland. This is such a great time for Northeast Ohio, so make sure you come back for that one. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. Remember, you can watch it on YouTube. If you're not watching this on YouTube, it's on the WKYC YouTube page. Also on the WKYC Instagram page, which is WKYC3. And I also put it on my Instagram page. And remember, you could always reach me at _Stephanie Haney. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Shoot me a DM. Happy to hear from you. Happy to chat. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to hear about on the 3 Things to Know podcast. And if you are so inclined, please leave a rating and a review wherever you're watching us or listening to us, and share with your friends, because sharing is caring, and we are just trying to connect with more people here in Northeast Ohio. And with that, I'll see you back next week with more 3 Things to Know.
Thanks for listening to 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now to stay in the know.